Good day everyone, you welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Rachel. Today I'm going to teach you how to make halter neck with cold shoulder sleeve, that has cape. The tools I'm working with: the marker, my pattern paper, measurement tape, paper scissors, then ruler, then the French curve. So the pattern paper I'm working with, I've folded it into two, though I've done 1 or 2 measurements which I needed on it, but for emphasis sake I'm going to quickly go through over it. This is my center front, this is my top line, the starting point line, this is the side front, then the down part. Meanwhile, I'm using this as the upper part of the halter neck. Though the halter neck can be used with jumpsuit, you can attach peplum to it, you can attach pencil to it. It depends on wherever you want, but for this purpose I'm going to deal with the only upper part. Now the measurement I'm working with: the back shoulder is 14, the bust is 38, the waist is 32, and the bust point I'm working also with is 10.5. So this is the upper part which I've marked. I said the back shoulder is 14 divided by 2, it gives us 7. I've marked the 7, it ends here. Then I take the armhole line, and the armhole line I'm working with is 8.8, though I marked 9.8, and 1 inch will be for the shoulder slant, which is here. Then I connected it to where the armhole ends. So on that particular line I place my bust measurement. Bust, which is 38 divided by 4, it will give us 9.5, which I've marked already. Then I added 2 inches allowance. So this line represents the bust point line, and the bust point I'm working with is 10.5. Then you are going to add half to it because of the joining of the shoulder, which makes it 11. Then the half length, the full front length which I'm working with is 16 plus 1 inch. Half will go for the joining, and the upper half will be responsible for the joining of the shoulder with both front and back together when we're sewing it. That is why I marked 17. So after sewing, it will end up to be 16. So that is that. So this line represents our waistline, the bust point line. This is the armhole, this is the back shoulder, and I make use of 3 inches by 3.5 at the neck. Then I connected it. So where the neck ends, I join it with the shoulder slant, which is the 1 inch, to form this. So having done that, let's now go properly to the halter neck, which today's training is going to be focused on. So at the neck side, at the neck, we're going to move. I don't know if you can see it very well. So at the neck, you mark 1 inch downward this way. This is the neck line, this is the shoulder slant. Then here I measured 1 inch downward. So from this 1 inch downward, I'm going to connect it to the armhole to make our halter neck. It is very simple. All we need to do is to practice. Just do it the way I'm doing it. You know that it is very easy. So I've connected it to the 1 inch that I moved down. So now I've marked the waist dart. And how did I get the waist dart? I make use of the bust span, and the bust span I'm working with is 7 divided by 2. It will give us 3.5. So I added ½ inch for the joining or sewing allowance. So after sewing, it will now remain the 3.5, which is going to be 7 inches. Then from the center, I moved in 4 inches at the bust point line. Then at the waistline, I move in 4 inches. So I connected the line together. So at the waistline, I place the tape rule, then I move out ½ inch, then I move out ½ inch this way. Then I move down from here 1 inch, 1.5 inches downward. Then I connected it to the half that I moved out to form our waist dart. So having done that, this outer neck now, you can decide to make a princess cut with it, or you can even bring it to like shoulder line, then you make your shoulder dart. But for this purpose of project, I'm going to make use of the princess dart, which I will connect from here to this place. You can use your free hand, or you can make use of your French cuff this way. So I'm connecting from armhole to the dart to form my princess dart, so which I have already done. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to cut it out. So I'm going to follow this line. I'm going to cut this line out. I'm going to follow it and cut it out. We move down by 1 inch. So I'm going to stop my cutting at the bra point, then trace the neck. Trace the neck. So I've removed the other part. So this is what is going to remain. Don't forget, it is outer neck that we're doing. So all I will do now is to place this, to use it to cut the back. So now I want to cut the back. All I did was to bring this paper. This is going to be for our back. Then I will place the front on it and repeat what I have done at the front to the back. But the difference is the provision that I will make for the zip allowance at the back, which I have which I'm doing now. So this is going to represent our zip allowance, and this is where it will end. So I'll just trace it out. I'll trace it out. Now, if you notice, this is our zip allowance. If you notice, since it is outer neck, the back of the outer neck is just like normal regular neck. It's going to be high neck at the back. It's not going to be lower. So what I will do is I will mark 1 inch, just 1 inch. After sewing, it will end up to be like 1.5. so I will mark 1 inch. So the 1 inch I mark at the side of the zip allowance, I will connect it to the neck here. I will connect it to the neck, then I will shape it out, because the outer neck is normally high at the back. So this is going to be the back, our zip allowance, our zip allowance. So I have done that. So I'm going to cut the princess cut together with the back. I'm going to cut it out together. I'm going to so here is the front. Here is the front. And this is our back. This is the zip allowance, and this is for one side of the back. Then we will repeat the other side. So what I'm going to do now next is to show us how to draft the collar of the neck. So the neck circumference I'm working with is 16. 16 divided by 6 is going to give us 2.6. So 2.6, which is the neck circumference. Now, you know it is 16. If I divide 16, you know we are using smaller paper, so I will assume that this paper is going to cut the half. So that 16, instead of me to measure the whole 16 at once, I will divide it by 2. And 16 divided by 2, it will give us 8. Then I will make an horizontal line like this. This is the horizontal line. So I will measure 8 from here. I will measure 8. This is my starting point. So from here to here is 8 inches, which is the half of the neck circumference. So from here now, the whole length of the collar is going to be 1.5. So I will mark 1.5 this way, then I will mark 1.5 this way, then I will rule another line parallel to the first one that I marked. Now I will now decide which is going to be the center front and which is going to be the center back. So let me assume that this is going to be my center back and this place is going to be the center front. So this is going to be the back, and if you want to cut, you cut it on fold. You only open the front part. So this is where the 8 inches ends. So now the next thing we are going to do now is to determine from here now, from the center back to the center front, where it ends at the front here, I will move up by half an inch. I will move up by half an inch. Then I will look at the midpoint, which is here. The whole line is 8 inches. Then I look for the midpoint. So from here I will connect it to the half an inch. This is 0.5 that I moved up. I'll connect it. All we want to achieve is the round shape of the neck. The neck is not straight, so we want to make it a little bit curvy so that the collar will sit comfortably at the neck after sewing. That is what we want to achieve. So I look for the midway, which is this place. Then at the center front I move up by half, 0.5. then I connect it to this midway. This is our center back, so I connected it. I've moved up by 0.5. Now I want to return this 0.5 at the upper side. So what I will do, where the parallel line ends here, then I will measure 0.5 upward again. Then I will look for the midway at the upper part, which is this place. Then I will connect it to this half. Now, so the same thing that is here, that I just tactically move up to the upper part. So I'll connect this place to this place this way. I've connected it. Now we have achieved in bending the straight paper a little bit, so that it will be a little bit curvy when we're sewing it. So now what I will do is I will cut it out. Then you will see the result. So sorry, before I cut it out, we're still going to sew it, and the whole collar after sewing should be 1.5, which is exactly this 1.5 that I'm measuring here. But because we are still going to sew it, the half or 3/8 that we're going to sew, it depends on what you are sewing. So I normally sew with 0.5 inches. So I will now mark the 0.5 inches all round. If you are sewing with 3/8, then you mark the 3/8 all round, but you need to follow the shape. You need to follow the shape. Add half to the center back because it's going to be on fold. We are not going to add half, because when you open it, it will be straight. You don't need to join it, except otherwise if your material is not enough that you need to join the center back. But for normally flowing of collar, we don't need to join this part. But here, you still need to add 0.5 to it because it will require joining too. So we will add 0.5 to it. So let me cut it out, then you will see the outcome. So here is the collar. Then you need to use this one to cut another fabric. Just fold your material into two, then you place it. Then when you open it up, you discover that it will be wider and it will accommodate the 16 inches. But this is just the half of the 16 inches. So we have done with the collar. So the next thing we are going to do is the cape that we are going to sew at the upper side of the sleeve. So now to curb the cape at the sleeve, to cut the cape at the sleeve, what we'll do is we'll measure the length from here. Measure the length this way. Measure the length. This is 13. So 13, and don't forget we're still going to join this place. 1 inch will still go from the other side. So that is 13. 13 will be for one side and the back too. 13 plus 13, that is 26 inches. So you put that in mind, that is 26 inches. Then you take a paper to form a triangular or square like this, as if you want to cut your flare. So this is the paper. I folded it into 4 this way. I folded it into 4, and the length of the paper is this is 10 by 10 by 10 by 10. So that means like this. I measure 20, 20, 20, 20. Then I folded it into 4 like this. So this is going to be the center of the paper. And we have 26. So we're going to divide that 26 by 6.25, which is the formula to form to cut a full circle. So I've divided the 26 by 6.28 and it gives us 4.1. Meanwhile, don't forget that when I measure this place, it gave us 13 front and the back to 13, making 26. That is how we arrive at our 26. Meanwhile, the excess at which the cape will fall, which is the cape length, we need to consider that too. And the excess of which it will fall, I will make it like 4 inches that will use to fall on my sleeve or on my body. So that 4, it give us, when I divided 26 by 6.28, it gave us 4.1. So I will add that 4, of which the length of the cape to it, making 8. So the 8 inches now, the 8 inches, I will measure the 8 inches from the paper. It's very simple, but all you need to do is to get your calculation correctly. This is 8 inches now that I'm measuring. And don't forget, how do we get the 8 inches? That is the length, the circumference of the armhole, which is 26. I divided it by 6.28. It gave us 4.1. 4.1 with the length of the cape, which is 4. 4 plus 4.1, it gives us 8.1. And I've marked the 8.1 on the paper I folded. This is 8.1. Then I will now go back to that my 4.1. It's the 4.1 that I will measure here. Now 4.1. Just try as much as possible to follow each step by step the way I'm doing it. You find it interesting. So I measure 8.1 here, then I measure 4.1 here. So this excess is going to be the length of the cape at which it will fall. So I will cut it out, then we will see the hook. Meanwhile, before I cut it out, it depends, you can play with it, depends on the way you want it to fall. If you want it to be more than these 4 inches, you can increase it. It depends. All you need to do is to increase it. It depends. You can play with it to form your heart's desire. So here is it. So if you want to sew now, just sew this way. You sew it on it. You sew it this way, and this place, you sew this part to the back, you sew this part to the front, then you sew the other part. So it will be open this way, but you need to cut this place open. Cut it open, so you sew it round the shoulder. So far so good. I will use it to cut the fabric, then you see it. So this is the front part, this is the back, this is our back, this is the part of the front, and this is our collar. This is our collar and the cape. So I will use it to cut the fabric, then you see the outcome. Here is the pattern. I've used it to cut out my fabric. So this is the center front, this is the side, and this is the back, the zip allowance, the side of the back. Here is the collar. I cut 2 pieces of this. One will be for the facing and one will be for the back. And then this is the cape for the front and the back. So I'm going to sew it, then you'll see the outcome.